How are you doing today? My name is Maggie, and I am an English teacher. I hope your weekend is going well so far. Um, and today, our topic, I'm doing the same topic that we're talking about in my group English classes, and the topic is describing food. Mostly because I think that it's always a bit of a challenge to get really specific when we are describing food. I find a lot of people have the basic vocabulary like sweet, sour, spicy. I also think it's a really important skill to have if any of you have a conversation in English where you're talking to someone about your country or about your food. This comes up a lot. So it should be hopefully a good topic if any of you have interactions with people from different countries. Yesterday, I watched the World Cup game, and honestly, I was surprised by the way that the United States played. I was a little bit impressed that they played better than I thought. I am definitely speaking more slowly. Yeah, I speak both more slowly and more clearly when I speak on live. Because there are no subtitles, there's no added like way for people to understand me, and I notice that I don't have any idea what level anyone is that joins. So I speak in a way where like I'm using the same words that I normally would, but my pace is definitely a bit slower than if I were in a conversation with friends and family, for example. Although last week someone told me to speak really fast at the end of the live, and so I tried to speak as fast as I could. Um, and so that was kind of funny. Maybe I'll have to have a live like that where it's just fast. Maybe next week our topic will be fast speaking. So, uh, that could be a good topic. Yeah, it was Marcelo. Maybe next week the topic could be fast speaking and see if you guys understand what I'm saying. Hello, how are you doing today? Um, okay, so the topic today is we're going to describe food. So in addition to the word delicious or yummy, what are other ways that we can describe food in English? What words do you know? What words can we use to describe food in English? And you could think of a specific ingredient or a specific dish if you want to. Um, do you know kebab? Yes, I do. I'm curious, what country are you from if you eat kebabs? I know that in Turkish food they have kebab. Um, we use the word kebab in different ways in English. From my understanding, one is if you have meat stacked on like one of those towers that people use for um like I think tacos al pastor, maybe, and you cut the meat off of the meat stack tower. That's how I would normally use the word kebab. You are from Turkey. Okay. I'm curious because, yeah, I've tried kebab, but I don't know if it's like the authentic Turkish kebab because I've never been to Turkey. So, how would you describe Turkish kebab? It is a very, also, hi Nico, how are you doing today? It is a very, like common street food, even in Europe. A lot of people eat kebab as like a common street food, I'm also pretty sure. Sugar, yeah. Sugar is the ingredient, and if you wanted to say that something has a lot of sugar, you could say it tastes sugary or sweet. Tasty, protein. Fat and calorie are also nouns, but you could say something is fatty, like a piece of meat that has a lot of fat on it, you could say is fatty. Or caloric. If a food is high in calories, it is caloric. Fast food, shawarmas, bittersweet. Yeah, if something like you guys know that dark chocolate with orange or something like that could be bittersweet. Salty, tasteless. That's good. So tasteless is a good synonym of uh bland. We have tasteless or bland if something doesn't have any flavor. I'm a big meat eater. Okay, we have a carnivore. Junk food also. Yeah. Do you guys eat junk food? Is anyone here a fan of junk food? I personally yeah, I like junk food. I like both healthy food and junk food. I like all foods. um Okay, so I have some descriptions. I think I'll show you the adjectives that I have for ways to describe food. So I have these. Maybe this is kind of small, but oh yeah, it's really tiny. Well, that's okay. I will read the words out loud so you don't have to worry if you don't see them. Explain junk food. Junk food, if you just focus on the word junk, it means it's kind of like trash or something that doesn't have value. So in a lot of people's houses, they have a drawer in that just has random papers and items in this drawer that are useless. And so a lot of people call this a junk drawer. So objects that are not useful. So when we talk about junk food, the idea is that it's not healthy. It's like empty calories, like fries and burgers and things that are not nutritious, but high in calories. So I'll show you some examples of junk food. These are, oh my gosh, like this would be junk food. Pizza, burgers, fries, donuts, like anything that's either very high in fat or very high in sugar would be considered junk food. Like cookies, chips, a lot of the things that they sell, yes, pizza, a lot of the things that they sell at 7-Eleven could be considered junk food. I like this phrasal verb is really good, like a wrap. I guess it depends. For a wrap, if the wrap has a lot of like greasy things inside of it, it could be considered junk food. But I've also seen wraps where the contents of the wrap are like just vegetables and it looks pretty healthy. So in that case, I wouldn't consider it junk food. But if it's more like greasy and not as nutritious, then I would consider it junk food. This is a great phrasal verb, to pig out. To pig out means to eat a lot of something. Is your other phone in Russian? No, my other phone is in Spanish. It's in Spanish. Like if you look at it here, it says modo AI, but it's also my phone is backwards because Instagram doesn't have a way. I'm pretty sure they've still never developed a way for me to mirror my camera, so I am not able to flip it. All unhealthy foods are junk food. Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite junk food? If you want to pig out on junk food, pig out is a phrasal verb which means eat a lot of something. which is similar to the animal, a pig. Um, so if you pig out on food, it means that you are having like a mukbang or eating a lot of it. I'm curious, when you have to pig out on junk food, what kind of junk food do you eat? What's your favorite kind of junk food? Or I'll write here, what kind of junk food do you like to pig out on? What kind of junk food do you like to pig out on? And you could say, I like to pig out on pizza and burgers, for example. I am Italian. In Italy, pizza is not junk food. It is well cooked with good ingredients and homemade. That's also an interesting point, that there are some foods that in one situation could not be junk food, and then in another situation it could be junk food. One example I have is a common junk food in Chile is sushi, because the sushi in Chile is often like chicken cream cheese wrapped in rice and like deep fried. So if you get a hand roll, which is like the Chilean sushi, that is, I would say, junk food. But if you go to Japan and you get like sashimi, which is like just fresh cut fish, then I would not consider that junk food, because I would say that's pretty nutritious. So, yeah, depending on the dish, you can also have food that comes across as junk food and food that does not. Of course, my favorite chips. Yes, chips, burgers, cheezels. That's a very Chilean answer, I think. Unless they have cheezels in other Latin American countries, but I've only ever seen them in Chile. Yeah, and the interesting thing about chips is chips in British English refers to fried potatoes like French fries that you would eat with a burger. And chips in the United States refers to the flat chips that you get in a bag from the store. So, depending on the country, in British English, they say crisps. And yeah, they say crisps for the ones that come in a bag, like Lay's, and chips for what we say French fries, what we refer to as French fries in the United States. Cheezels are a Chilean brand of chips. If something is fries, always fries. There's a new fry restaurant here in Viña where you can get fries covered in toppings. Um, and that is really good. Like I don't know, you can get like cheese and bacon and different toppings. Okay, these are cheezels. Cheezels. It's a Chilean brand of chips. It's like I think it's like a puffed corn chip covered in cheese powder or cheese dust. You know, if you eat Cheetos or Doritos, the stuff that gets on your fingers is cheese dust. I agree with the Italian that talked about pizza. I went to Naples a few days ago, and I can say pizza is not junk food there. Okay, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I think that when something becomes a type of fast food, that's when it starts to obviously be more like a junk food. And that's also like the type of food that spreads worldwide usually is more the fast food. So, of course, if you're from Venezuela, you have a lot of dishes, but the restaurants that start in other countries are usually like arepas or the stuff that's more like fast food or junk food rather than the homemade dishes. And I would say the same thing in the US. We have dishes not just burgers and fries, but those are the ones that spread to other countries. Okay, I have here, this is very small, but I'm going to read the words to you anyway, so hopefully that will be fine. So when we're talking about something that's very sweet, we could say that something is very sweet, just to mean that it's really sugary. It has a lot of sugar in it. Or we also have the word, ooh, yeah, lick the fingers. If something is so good, you could say it's finger licking good. We also have the word in English to talk about food, which is rich. So if food is rich, what does that mean? And it's different from in Spanish. It's not like in Spanish you say the word rico to talk about something, but in English it's different. So what does rich mean when referring to food? I didn't know. Okay, they have cheesels in Australia. I did not know that. I had never seen cheesels until I came to Chile, so that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have good explanations of rich. So it's rich in calories, it's fatty and thick, or it has a lot of calories. Yeah, it has got lots of calories. So rich in English is not delicious or yummy. Instead, it's talking about something that's very heavy and full of calories. So, oh, okay. I also see this about zesty and sexual orientation. I'm going to respond to that as well. So that is rich. Rich in English is not the same as in Spanish. It's more like empalagoso, pesado, something where you can only have like a couple of bites. But it's referring more because empalagoso is more the next one. We have sickly sweet or cloying, and that is to refer to the sugar, but rich is more like very creamy and fatty. So it's difficult to have more than just a couple bites. Responding to this comment, so the word zesty first referred to food or the description of something being sour. And then people recently, this is like a Gen Z word, recently have been using the word zesty to refer to someone who might be gay. And it's not negative. It's not necessarily like an insult. I've actually seen it more often than not used by gay people about a famous actor to say, oh, is he a little zesty? So that is also another use of the word zesty. But the first use of the word zesty, if you think about lemon zest, lemon zest is the outside of the lemon, right? So you're adding this acidic flavor when you add zest to something. And so over time, to add zest to something became make it interesting, to make it different, to make it quirky, doing it with pizzazz, with something interesting. And a lot of gay people use this sort of language when talking about ballroom dance or drag shows or these sort of cultural performances. And so that's why zesty started to be used in that way. But if you're describing food, people will not think that you're calling your food gay, so no confusion will be had there. Cloying, so to go back to this, cloying is the same as sickly sweet. So cloying is the same as sickly sweet. I don't know, but it is Pride Month, so maybe if you guys get a bite of like some, I saw that in the supermarket, Hellman's mayonnaise had some rainbow mayonnaise, so maybe you could say, my mayonnaise is zesty this month. That could be like a funny play on words if anyone if anyone wants to steal my joke, you could call your Hellman's rainbow mayonnaise zesty. As long as it's done with love. Okay, so cloying is a way to say sickly sweet. This means something is so sweet that it's not possible to really eat that much of it. Like you feel the sugar in your teeth. Can anyone think of an example of a food that is cloying or sickly sweet? Can any of you think of an example of such a food that is cloying or sickly sweet? I'll give one example, which is if any of you have been seeing these videos of Crumble Cookies, the company from the US. I have never tried Crumble Cookies, but I have seen some people's reviews, and some people like them, but some people give the negative review that they are cloying or sickly sweet. Like if the cookie is really sweet and it doesn't taste like that much else other than sugar. Manjar, yeah. So dulce de leche or manjar is an example of something that can be cloying or sickly sweet. A lot of these foods, when you're a child, are perfect. You're like, I want as much sugar as I can have. But then when you get older, sometimes it's like, wait, this is more cloying than I remember or than I thought when I was younger. Cheesecake for you is cloying. For me, cheesecake is, yeah, it is very sweet, but I love cheesecake. I think maybe I find it very rich because it's really creamy. So it's not something where you can eat like, maybe I could eat a whole cheesecake, but I would definitely have a stomach ache if I did. I would definitely need to drink a lot of water. Caramel is cloying. Um, Caramel is an interesting word because you might hear people say caramel or caramel, and both of those pronunciations are fine. I don't know if it's regional. I feel growing up, I heard people say both, so kind of strange. Caramel or caramel. I think maybe British people just say, no, I've heard British people say both also, but if any of you live in the UK and you have heard one more than the other, let me know. Between caramel and caramel. Mantecol. Okay. I feel like that sounds familiar, but I don't know what mantecol is. Could you remind me? I'm not sure if I've had that before. Mantecol. Yes. Okay, this is another good example. Baklava is also sweet. It's yummy, but yeah, you can only have a little bit before you feel like the sugar is too much. There's one of my favorite comments that people post on social media is there is a concept I think invented in Korea called a mukbang where they eat a bunch of food. And so sometimes when you see a video of someone eating like a bunch of muffins or a lot of sugar, some people comment, okay, now do a water mukbang. Like, now please drink a lot of water. And I always thought that was kind of funny, those comments. Is there an adjective for food that makes you want to throw up? Can anyone think of an adjective for food that makes you want to throw up? Mantecol is the peanut butter candy from Latin America. Okay, does it come in like is it like in a round package? I've had something that tasted like peanuts and it was round and kind of like powdery, but I don't know if that was something different. Because I am a big peanut butter fan. So, is there an adjective for food that makes you want to throw up? Can anyone think of one? Disgusting is one. I would also say maybe like nauseating is another one. So we have disgusting, nauseating, maybe repulsive, rancid. That's another one. Rancid is a good one for something that makes you want to throw up. It's like it tastes rotten or really bad or sour. Another word is like vomit inducing. Vomit inducing. The word inducing means that it causes this to happen, especially it's used with medical vocabulary, like you induce a coma, you induce labor. If you're pregnant and you're very close to giving birth, the doctors might induce labor, like cause you to start going into labor on purpose. So we can use this in adjectives related. This is very dramatic, but related to medical things that might happen to you. You can say, oh, it was vomit inducing. Like it was going to make me throw up, very literally. So this would definitely be a dramatic word to use. You would use this with your friends if you wanted to really show how much you wanted to throw up from something. It was vomit inducing. But yeah, that would be another option. The word umami, so going now to savory. And in the same way that before you might get mixed up with the word rich because it does not mean delicious in English. You also might get mixed up with the word salty in English. Only use the word salty if you want to show that a food really tastes like you added salt to it. So something that has a lot of added salt would be salty, like potatoes with a lot of salt on them. It's salty. But also, if you're talking just about food that isn't sweet, it just tastes like, um, you know, meat or vegetables, the word savory is the best option to use. So it's like a food that isn't sweet. It tastes more like lunch, like a meal. The word umami is a specific word that is Japanese, I believe, and that specifically refers to this flavor of savory that they try to bring out a lot in Japanese food with mushrooms. Like shiitake mushrooms have this really strong savory flavor, and also soy sauce. Soy sauce is salty, but that like brown liquid that has a strong savory flavor, or mushrooms, or a lot of like meat or things that taste kind of earthy, that flavor that they have, like soybeans, mushrooms, is called umami. So in addition to sour, sweet, spicy, they have this word to describe that sort of rich, savory, usually like brown foods that have that flavor to them. So salty in English is different from savory or umami. Salty means it has salt, and then savory or umami means it has these like uh more like meaty flavors to them, I would say. Like soup stock, especially if the soup stock has mushrooms in it, or because you could have soup stock that's more sour, or you could have soup stock that's more like a vegetable flavor. And I would say that savory could be meaty or vegetable flavor, but umami is more on the meaty side. So some mushrooms have that meaty flavor, or soy, or meat, of course. Yeah, that's what I would consider to be umami. It's like a type of savory flavor that's not light vegetables and is more the kind of like rich, earthy, meaty flavor of meat or vegetables. Okay, then we have next to it fresh flavors. So the fresh flavors, zesty, tangy, refreshing. Zesty and tangy both refer to something that has some acidity. One example of something that's tangy is like Greek yogurt, right? So Greek yogurt has a little bit of a pleasant sour taste to it. Sour is the overall general word to say something that has this acidic flavor, like lemon. but zesty and tangy are both like more positive adjectives, specifically that could be used in a cooking blog or to talk about how good a dish is. Zesty is used the most often with citrus, like lemon, lime, or ginger, even. You could use it with ginger. And then tangy is used to talk about a pleasant sour flavor, like orange chicken. Something sweet and sour could be tangy, or like I said, something that has cream, but like crema ácida could be tangy, something that adds a little bit of sourness in a very pleasant way. So, can you think of a zesty or tangy dish? Both of them refer to sour. Zesty is more related to citrus or ginger, and tangy, I would say, could be more things, including cream. Why some food tastes are some people related to a specific group or people? Like Asian has hot food, South American. Mmm, that's a good question. Yeah. I would say there are definitely some flavors that are more common in some cuisines. I would, for instance, the spice tolerance in some countries is different compared to other countries. Like, if you go to an authentic Thai restaurant, I was talking about this with a student, and he ordered a low spice soup, and he said that the soup was so spicy that he couldn't believe it was the low spice option. I also think that probably the spiciest food I've ever had was at an authentic Thai restaurant, and I was sweating buckets. I was like really overwhelmed with the spice. Mexican food is spicy too. I think part of it also relates to what ingredients are available in different countries. So Mexico is a place that has naturally a lot of different types of chili peppers. And in Chile, for example, the country in South America, the indigenous people here did not cook with as many chili peppers. Like it wasn't a really common ingredient compared to somewhere like Mexico. Like they had a couple, but not the same number of like variety of chili peppers. So naturally, people just eat spicier food for that reason. But if anyone has any other theories, I'm curious to hear them. Okay, I'm going to read these examples here of lemon pie is tangy, a really citric flavor. You must try authentic Indian spicy foods. Yeah, I think that would also probably knock me off my feet. um Someone before asked how to describe the strong flavor of onion or garlic, and I would say pungent is a good word if you want to describe a really strong flavor of onion or garlic, and not sour specifically, but just to say, woo, that's a strong flavor. Pungent is a great word to use. So, pungent. And this is a great point here that in English, it's also very common to describe people um, with some food words, like the woman at the tax office was very bitter. So that's also a really important part of this. When we're learning food vocabulary, we're not only using it in the context of food, you also might see some of these vocabulary words used in other contexts of life, like describing people. So you could say, a glass of lemonade is refreshing, or you could say, wow, I finally saw that man apologize. That was really refreshing. Like it was good to see him do that. Or you might say someone was bitter, someone was really sour, someone is salty. Um, so you can definitely see these words used in a variety of contexts. Balsamic vinegar chips are tangy. Yeah, if you guys, especially if you go to somewhere like the UK, they love vinegar on everything. So I would say that the vinegar is tangy or sour. Not as much zesty because zesty is used more with citrus, but another word like tangy would be great. So related to strong flavors, we talked about there's spice, bitter, pungent is another great word. What are some pungent foods in your experience? What are examples of pungent foods? Examples of pungent foods. The main ones that come to mind for me are garlic and onion. But if there's another food that is just strong, but not necessarily because it's spicy or sour, just it has a strong flavor, that would be pungent. Are pickles tangy? Yes, definitely. Pickles are certainly tangy. I think pickling something, the process of pickling, like putting it in vinegar, gives it a tangy flavor. So, what are some examples of pungent foods? This is a great example. Cheese, like blue cheese, is definitely a pungent food. Blue cheese is definitely a pungent food. And yes, actually, I was thinking the same thing of another week of talking about food. In my group classes next week, my idea was to find maybe some articles and videos related to food again and to practice again because we only practice talking about food for 1 week. Um, and I gave my students the task of writing a recipe, but I think it would be good to have an extra week to just focus on that in case people wanted to keep working on that. Mustard can be pungent for sure. Horseradish, yes. Horseradish or wasabi can both be pungent. The smell of boiled cauliflower, that's so specific. Now I feel like I'm going to pay attention to that the next time I boil cauliflower. Mouth-watering. Yeah, I would say horseradish is a good example. You know, I didn't know this, but a lot of us outside of Japan who have had wasabi from sushi places, I didn't realize that it's actually, in many cases, horseradish, but dyed a green color because it has this pungent flavor, but it's cheaper than wasabi. So especially takeout sushi places, a lot of the time use horseradish instead of actual wasabi. So I thought that was interesting to find out. The smell of seafood when it's not fresh is pungent for sure. Fresh onion or blue cheese. And if you need help remembering the word pungent, think of it like a punch in the face, maybe. It punched your nose in the face. The next one related to texture. We have something, yeah, pungent is something that's very strong, not necessarily sour or salty or spicy, but just a really strong flavor, like fresh raw onion or raw garlic. That would be pungent, like it punches your nose. Um, yeah, I'm curious, maybe we can all do like a wasabi assessment and tell me if you think that you've ever had real wasabi. Because when I found that out, I thought I might not have ever had real wasabi. Because I was like, I don't think I've been to like that authentic of a restaurant. Horseradish, yeah. Um, okay, the next one, this soup that's here could be creamy or velvety. Velvet like the fabric, right? Velvet is like a fabric, which I can show you. A lot of people wore in like the 70s. Velvet fabric. Here, let me show you velvet. This is velvet, this fabric here. That's velvet. So when we're talking about a food being velvety, it means that it's really um soft. The velvet underground, exactly. Yeah, if something's velvety, it's like really creamy and thick and smooth. There's a brand of boxed mac and cheese called Velveeta, and I think that they want to portray that it's very creamy. The other one is Silky, and Silky is another fabric. So if something is silky smooth, there's a brand of soy milk called Silk, and they also want to show that this is a smooth drink. Is there another word for vegan? I would say maybe like meat-free or dairy-free. Like a meat-free, dairy-free diet or like animal product free. Yeah, I don't know, because there's vegetarian and then vegan, and vegan is without any consumption of animal products. But I don't know if there's another word that's as specific as vegan to refer to vegan. The last category that I had here was unpleasant textures. So unpleasant textures, we have different ones. The first one is gritty. So if something is gritty, that means that it has hard, rough pieces like sand. That is gritty. Probably the best example I can give for a food that's gritty is if you take chia seeds and you don't soak them, you just eat the raw chia seeds, that would be gritty. When you feel like tiny hard things in your teeth. If you eat a sandwich at the beach and then sand gets in your sandwich and it has these little like hard pieces, that would be gritty. So it's not sticky, because sticky is more like glue that, for example, if you have something with a lot of sugar on the outside and you touch it, that would be sticky because it gets on your fingers. Like a lot of candy is sticky because if you eat a lollipop and put it in your hair, it gets stuck there and you feel it on your hands like you need to wash it off. Gritty is more like tiny hard pieces. So it feels like grit, which is like sand or dirt. Um, so that would be gritty. Normally, if you have quinoa or a grain that's not cooked all the way and it has these tiny hard pieces, that would be gritty. Another unpleasant, can you use sandy to describe a texture? That wouldn't be common. It would be very poetic to use that. So it wouldn't be like a usual word to use. Instead, I'm trying to think of an example of something that would be like sandy. If you're calling it sandy because it has hard pieces, I would use gritty. And if you're calling it sandy because it's like with a lot of crumbs or I would say mantecol maybe is like that texture where it's crumbles. So it would be crumbly, could be another example of a word that I would use. That would be more common, crumbly. When I was learning how to make rice, it would always turn out gritty. That's a good example. Yeah, it would always turn out gritty. The next one that's also an unpleasant texture is mushy. Personally, I have a big issue with mushy foods. Mushy. If something is mushy, it's like it's wet, but not in a good way. Like if you leave your cereal in milk for a long time, it could be soggy or mushy. Or if you I don't know, if you cook eggplant but you don't roast the outside, you just cook it for a while until it's very soft and kind of like the texture is falling apart, that would be mushy. Baby food, the food that people give their babies, is often mushy because they don't want the baby to bite the food. So, that texture of the food that people give their babies is usually mushy. Stale would be Stale is used most often for, so stale is not used when water is involved. Stale is used when the texture becomes unpleasant and not crispy, usually because the food was sitting out, but not because a liquid touched it. So if you leave cereal or bread outside for a long time and now it has this unpleasant, like, chewy texture to it where it's not comfortable to eat. Like if you have chips and you bite into the chip and it's not crispy, it's just like bends with your mouth. Um, that would be stale. Or especially bread that kind of gets a little bit hard and not fresh tasting would be stale. And then mushy or soggy would be specifically because liquid made the texture unpleasant. Yeah, the food is called mashed potatoes because you mash the potatoes, but then you could say the texture of the mashed potatoes is mushy, especially if someone added a lot of gravy on top of them or added a lot of cream to their potatoes. That kind of mushy texture could give me the repulsive feeling. Yeah, you could say mushy foods, or I find mushy foods to be vomit inducing. The last one that I have here is rubbery. Rubbery is another good unpleasant word. So, rubbery. Rubbery means that something has the texture of rubber, which is not a good thing when it comes to food. I would use this if someone cooked meat for a very long time and you bite into it and it's like, it feels like you're biting a tire or like you're biting a yoga mat or something. And not like you're biting, the opposite would be like a tender piece of meat. A tender piece of meat. So, yeah, that would be if something is rubbery. It is difficult to bite. It gives you the texture of mussels are rubbery. True. Calamari could be rubbery. True. I would say calamari is probably one of the few more pleasant foods that has a rubbery texture, but it doesn't sound like a positive word. So if someone invites you to dinner and they give you meat that's difficult to eat, I don't think I would say, "Oh, thanks. This is so rubbery." um so now I'm curious because we've talked about like coconut butter. Mm, coconut butter. I don't think coconut butter would be rubbery because rubbery is like I find that coconut butter like kind of melts in your mouth, but rubbery, it doesn't. It's like you're trying to tear it with your teeth and it doesn't tear. So now I'm curious from everyone. Could you describe something you ate recently? It could be positive or negative. Describe something you ate recently. You could say, for example, I overcooked my rice and my meat, and the rice was gritty and the meat was rubbery. Or maybe you had a delicious, rich piece of chocolate cake, but it was also cloying at the same time. I'm going to try to move my face just in case. There we go. So describe a food that you ate recently. Try to use an adjective here. You ate a piece of cake for breakfast. How could you describe the cake? Was it velvety? Was it fluffy? Was it rich? I love Thai food. It's spicy and yummy. Definitely. And also some Thai food is a little bit tangy when they add some citrus or sour flavor. The pizza I had for dinner a couple of hours ago was yummy. Nice. I ate a crunchy bread with cream cheese. Oh, with creamy cheese. Because cream cheese is another thing, but yes, with creamy cheese. Nice. So, crunchy bread with creamy cheese. How about Turkish food? I have never been to Turkey. I did start making, now I have a recipe that I make pretty often that I got from TikTok called Turkish pasta. I think it's like a lazy version of dumplings, and you make ground beef with onion and garlic, um, and also spices, and then you put this on top of some cooked pasta, and you make a garlic yogurt sauce, and you also make a spicy chili oil butter sauce, and you put both of those sauces on the pasta. And I've been eating that for like the past year. It's pretty delicious. It's also nice because, yeah, you have like the creamy dairy, but it's from Greek yogurt, so it feels like you're getting your probiotics. Ooh, I just had a great tasty air fried chicken. Nice. I had scrambled eggs with sausage and onions for lunch. It was savory. Perfect. A couple of days ago, I had grilled chicken with smashed potatoes. It was a hearty meal full of umami. Yes, no, that's perfect. Also because hearty, one of the that's a word that we didn't go over, but hearty means that it's something that's like filling and but not in a rich, heavy way, but a nice filling meal would be hearty. So if you have a good soup or a nice stew, something that you eat, especially that's homemade and it feels caloric but nutritious would be something that's hearty. I ate orange. Ooh, I ate, maybe like orange chicken or fried orange chicken. I'm thinking about the word order there. Maybe fried orange chicken. Nice. I like orange chicken. The sauce is very tangy or zesty. I ate Genovese pasta. It was creamy and rich. Nice. You guys are gonna make me hungry because here it's like noon, so I haven't had my lunch yet. Um, I'm curious if anyone here has another question. What's an interesting food combination you've tried. So, for example, one food combination that I've tried that's very common in my country is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And peanut butter and jelly, to me, growing up, was always a very normal food because it was really common to see. Like people would eat this very often. Mostly like some adults, but I would say especially children. Like it was a very common food that kids would eat for lunch. Um, but then, like leaving the US, I didn't realize that it was very common for us, but for people from other countries, that was a weird combination. So I'm curious if anyone here has a strange combination they've tried, either in your country or going to another country. I figured it was caloric, but also extremely heavy. Like you can't move afterwards. I wouldn't say hearty is not usually like hearty usually doesn't have a negative connotation. Um, yeah, it's normally like caloric, but maybe like fuels your soul kind of food. Sopapillas con manjar. Okay, that's an interesting combination. So this is like a type of fry bread, like what does it have? It's like they put squash in a type of bread and fry it. And then on top you have dulce de leche, which is made from sweetened condensed milk, into like kind of a caramelized sweet syrupy texture. And then you put that on top. That is an interesting combination. And I know that that's a weird way to describe it if you're Chilean, but I'm trying to put it into a universal explanation that people that haven't tried sopaipillas or manjar might relate to. I ate a banana and I went back to sleep. Nice. How can I say that something doesn't taste good without being rude? Or maybe if somebody offers me something I dislike, what can I say? Let me let we should think about this as a next question actually, because that maybe we can workshop that as a group. Your lives are like a chicken soup for the soul, hearty and warm. There's a book called Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, where people tell different stories about what it's like to be a teenager, and I think my mom bought it for me when I was a teenager. um, but yeah, I appreciate that description. One interesting food combination in Turkey is watermelon and feta cheese. I love watermelon and feta cheese. Watermelon feta cheese mint salad is actually delicious, and everyone here should try it. I really like that salad. I didn't know it was from Turkey, so maybe people in the US started eating it based on like maybe a Turkish person inspired us. Pumpkin bread is so good, but I can understand why some people are like, what? Pumpkin bread? Spaghetti with a side of fruit? Is that a common combination in Cuba or is that like a personal combination? I'm curious. Related to this question about how can you say that something doesn't taste good without being rude? That's tricky. I don't know if anyone here has a. I normally say something like, it depends. Is it something that can be fixable or not? So if you try something, I normally would say like, oh, like, do you have any salt? Sorry, I'm just a salt fanatic. I feel like maybe I could add a little bit more salt. Like I normally blame myself, and ask to add something. Or like, oh, do you have any hot sauce? And then if it tastes really bad, just add a lot of hot sauce so you only taste the hot sauce. um, yeah, I don't know. Ways to say that something doesn't taste good. I would say instead of criticizing the food, the route that I normally take is I mention my own preference. Like, oh, I really, sorry, like the texture is difficult for me. Like, it's hard for me to eat things that have like a wet texture. Um, I need to eat something crispier, or I don't know if anyone else has an idea for what you say in such a situation. I have already had tons of it recently and don't want to exaggerate. A lot of watermelon salad. I heard that there are many types of sushi cakes in Brazil. They add some sweet ingredients. Oh my goodness, that sounds interesting. Sushi cake. I wouldn't say it's that common, but a friend from college talked me into it and now I can't quit it. It's mango season. Okay, spaghetti and mangoes. That sounds interesting. When I worked in a bar, I used to do a cocktail with cucumber, melon, gin, and thyme. That sounds good. That actually sounds like a good combination. Um, yeah, back to this is a good homework question. If any of you watched until the end of this video and you want to practice your English, you can comment what your typical line is when you don't like food, or how can you say that you don't like something in a polite way. I'm curious to know what everyone else's answers are to this question. I don't think it's a weird combination, but it's common from where I live to find, what is this? Oh, alligator meat in the meat section. Or crocodile, probably because you're in Australia. Crocodile meat in the meat section. Still shocks me every time I see it. I've had alligator because my family lives in Louisiana. So I've had fried alligator, and yeah, it's fine. I personally am not like a big fan. It's still pretty weird for me. It's kind of stringy like chicken, but a little bit fishy. You could make an excuse, a medical reason, so you wouldn't hurt the person's feelings. Yeah, definitely. I think that my grandmother is not like a very good cook. I don't know if you guys have seen these videos of like, um, older people from the United States that make casserole, but it's like cans of different things. We call it depression cooking, like from the Great Depression. Some people continue to cook like they don't have fresh ingredients, like they just pour cans of things together. So my grandmother makes dishes like this, to be honest. Um, Normally, what I do is I pick around the things that I don't like and I tell her it's good, but I don't take that much of it. And I say that I'm full, or I eat, if there's like something I like, I eat a lot of that. Um, I like this one here. I'll pass this time, sorry. The last time I ate, I got sick. Nice. That's a good That's a good answer. Tastes like chicken. Yeah, Joelle, you should try fried alligator. Yeah, interesting. All right, I have to go get along with my day, but I'm going to post this live. If anyone is interested in joining the group classes this week, the B1 and B2 intermediate classes, we're going to continue with food as the topic. And also we have the project of writing down recipes to share them. So I think that will be a fun activity for the next week. Thank you guys so much for joining and for your entertaining comments. It always is nice to start the day with a funny conversation. Oh my gosh, now I'm looking at you ate capybara. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care. I'll post this on YouTube and Spotify soon also. All right, bye.